So if the audio on this video sounds a little bit different, it's because I'm actually going to be trying to do this unscripted. So there might be a couple of little weird, awkward jumps and pauses and background noises and things like that. Who knows? So that's that, first off. As I've gotten older, I have found that my tolerance for a lot of nonsense has decreased. I am pushing 50, if you didn't already know that. And so, my tolerance for nonsense, especially nonsense that people seem to be bending themselves into pretzels over, is definitely not where it once was. And the latest example of fandom bizarre behavior has come from all things with the release of Donkey Kong Bananza. So, this is the first major 3D Donkey Kong game, and everybody was excited for it, and so far the reviews are great, and I really hate the fact that even if I had the money to get a Switch 2 in the game, I can't find them anywhere. I can't even find the game. It's the 17th, it should be out, and nowhere seems to have it. It's very strange. Anyway, I've been wanting to play this game, but as in anticipation going up, I've just been cruising things, and stuff has come up on Reddit and whatnot and everything. And I see constantly in the run-up to this game a lot of theories, because the big thing that was the big surprise to everyone is the fact that Donkey Kong has Pauline as his sidekick, but it's not adult Pauline who we've seen in, the original Donkey Kong or in the Mario games recently. So we have, it's not adult Pauline, it's a Pauline who's 13 years old, according to the official documentation. So we kind of got, as many people point out, kind of the Wreck-It Ralph Vanellope thing going with them. Well, normally this wouldn't be a big deal, except this has sent a lot of Donkey Kong fans and Mario fans into a tizzy, because they're like, the timeline is screwed up now! Okay. So, let me make this clear at the outset, because many people have. I don't have a problem with you wanting the lore of Mario and Donkey Kong games to make sense, but I would like you to just realize that it's ultimately not important, and you don't need to get yourself bent out of shape over it. It's supposed to be fun. It's not your job. And if it's fun for you to argue over that, fine. But so many people were freaking out over this because if Pauline's a kid, and this one, is this a prequel to Odyssey? Is this a prequel to the original Donkey Kong arcade game? And if so, why was Donkey Kong kidnapping Pauline in the first place? Why, and just all this stuff when it's trying to put together a full story from individual games that, from the beginning, never really had a connected story for the most part. It wasn't until recently that most games even got a story at all, or if there was, it was a really basic thing. It was just a really basic thing. There really hasn't been much of a story for the Mario games. It's ever since, for the most part, ever since Super Mario Brothers, Mario goes off and deals with Bowser's latest bullshit. That's basically what it is. Peach may or may not get kidnapped, depending on whatever it is that Bowser wants to accomplish. Mario goes after it, deals with Bowser's bullshit, and everything goes back to normal. But so many people, and I blame game theory for this. Game theory's good, don't get me wrong. The whole crew over there at Theorists are pretty good. It's their own ideas, and a lot of people just want to take this as gospel when the actual creators won't do it. Nintendo has made it clear, and various Nintendo people have made it clear that they're not interested in they don't see a lot of their games as this vast, ongoing epic. And we can talk about the Zelda timeline, people have. I seriously doubt until people started making a huge stink about it. They didn't really think about it until finally they said, all right, here's your timeline, go nuts. And now, of course, you have Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and everybody's trying to figure out how that fits into it, because it's apparently way beyond any of them, and nobody knows which one of the three branching timelines. Not a big deal. No, don't care, not a Zelda video, moving on. The main problem that everyone seems to have is based on a stupid joke that Rare made when they made the first Donkey Kong Country game. For the benefit of those of you who mercifully don't know this, the character of Cranky Kong debuted in that game, and the gag was he can break the fourth wall and is well aware that he is a video game character, and on top of that, Rare decided to go even further than that because the idea was this was the first Donkey Kong game since Donkey Kong 94 for the Game Boy, and the first where Donkey Kong was the actual playable character. So they decided, hey, this is what we're going to do. It's out with the old, in with the new groundbreaking graphics for 1994. This is what we're going to do, and we'll just make this joke that this old monkey that we have in here is the original Donkey Kong, and the one that we're playing as is his grandson. Because we had Donkey Kong Jr., obviously. So, and this, basically, if it's his grandson, this is Junior's son, or as the fan base likes to call him, DK the Third. Insert Lupin the Third joke here.
That gorilla's wearing a sports coat.
Because of this one stupid joke that carried on throughout the rest of the Donkey Kong franchise, through Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3, through Donkey Kong 64, up to now, there has been this, treating this joke as if it is absolute, solid lore canon, and by God, that means that the DK that we're following with the tie is not the original DK. He is the third DK, and that's how it is. And then the Super Mario Brothers movie came out and retconned him as Cranky's son. No big deal. I'm not even going to bring the movie into this, so stop the angry comments now. I know. We're going to pretend that I know that there's always this argument, movie's not canon. Movie's not canon. I don't care. Okay? Fine. We'll put the movie over here in its own little box. Has nothing to do with this discussion. And the thing is, it's not like Nintendo hasn't retconned the lore before. Up until the release of, I think, of the first Yoshi's Island game, which was marketed as Super Mario World 2 on the SNES, the basic default of Mario's origin is that he and Luigi are a couple of plumbers from Brooklyn, wound up in the Mushroom Kingdom, fought Bowser, and everything moved on from there. Well, as I understand it, because I never played it, Yoshi's Island retconned that so that Mario and Luigi always lived in the Mushroom Kingdom and all that. Wasn't a big deal. We all moved on. That's where Baby Mario and Baby Luigi came from, and that's pretty much that. So retcons are not unusual here, and it might just be they're doing another one. So everybody is tying themselves in knots in the run-up to the release of Bananza, trying to figure out what this 13-year-old version of Pauline means. What does it mean? Aside from the fact that they thought it would be cuter for a smaller character to ride around on DK. That's pretty much the real rationale for it. But they're trying to bend themselves into shape, and it gets worse because when the Direct came out and revealed that yes, Cranky Kong is in there, and he's still making jokes about fighting an adversary in overalls. So how could this still be a younger Pauline? And then they just started, truly, even just for fun, some really bizarre shit. The most logical one, they said, oh, well, maybe this is a Pauline Jr. situation. Okay, great, fine, whatever. Not a big deal. Wouldn't be the first time that a character has a younger relative that we don't know where they came from, no idea who the parents are and all that. You can go back to Huey, Dewey, and Louie for that originally. Then I've just started seeing things like, well, maybe she got de-aged, or maybe there's time travel involved, and it's like, you're putting more thought into this than Nintendo is. Because, as we've established, Nintendo doesn't care. Miyamoto has said that, as far as he's concerned, and most of Nintendo is concerned, they're like performers in a play, which people are taking far too literally. A better analogy is that they treat these characters like the Looney Tunes were treated. Basically, they show up, they're in whatever situation the current story requires, and that's it. There might be some continuity between the two, but not really. And then people will bring up the ending of Super Mario Galaxy, where Rosalina says that the cycle of birth and destruction of the universe happens, but it doesn't happen the same way every time, and maybe that's when everything got rebooted. Again, putting more thought into it than Nintendo is. And then this all culminated this week. Because the internet being the internet, some people got advanced copies, some people managed to pirate copies, and because of time zones, a lot of people managed to get, copies in Australia and whatnot before we did in the United States. And because everybody chases the clicks, I have already had a lot of the major story beats for Bananza ruined for me through thumbnails on YouTube and videos that started playing and all auto-playing and a whole bunch of shit. So I know I know how the game ends. Again, haven't played the game. Won't be able to play the game for a while, at least until I can finally get a Switch. The money for a Switch, the game, and everything else. So here's where I'm going to put up the spoiler alert. If you do not want to be spoiled for what happens at the end of DK Bananza, stop watching now. Just stop watching now and jump ahead to the timestamp you see here in order to get to my own point on this whole thing. Alright, so apparently the last level of... I'm not going to spoil everything. There's plenty of surprises there. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to spoil everything, but I am going to spoil what the last level is. The last final bit of DK Bananza results in DK and Pauline winding up back on the surface in New Donk City. And that's where they fight the final boss and everything, and I'm going to leave that there. Again, this threw people for a loop because Super Mario Odyssey specifically said New Donk City was named and founded after the events of the original Donkey Kong 81, and Pauline in that game mentioned that she was kidnapped by an ape and blah 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 blah. So now everybody's losing their shit over this because now it looks like Bananza is a prequel to Odyssey, but that doesn't make any sense because why would Pauline be friends with DK and he would kidnap her in the original Donkey Kong arcade? And yeah, we're running into a situation where people who are used to every video game franchise having these massive amounts of lore and massive amounts of continuity and massive amounts of story are trying to retroactively make games that didn't really have a story fit into everything. Stuff that Nintendo puts in as fun little Easter eggs, they're taking as die-hard, in the wool, this is canon lore. And frankly, trying to make all the Mario stuff fit one singular timeline, yeah, you know what? I'm going to play the clip. This is what I think about anyone trying to actually make all the Mario and Donkey Kong games fit an actual timeline.
A really futile and stupid gesture be done on somebody's part.
Yeah. But I get why people want to do it. It's fun. It can be fun. And if you take it as fun, it's fine. If you're doing it for fun, fine. But if you're actually devoting yourself to this as if it's the most important goddamn thing in the world, please step away from the computer. Go outside. Touch, all the grass. But I was thinking about this in my own brain, and because I sometimes enjoy doing this sort of thing too, and can't help myself, something came to me, and which prompted this video. Why are we assuming that Cranky Kong is an authority? Cranky Kong is old. He's ridiculously old. That's half the joke, is that he is ridiculously old. Is it possible that he's misremembering things? Let's just take out the fact that he's a fourth wall breaking and knows he's a character in a video game. Let's just take that out for a minute and just take strictly all the stuff that implies he knows who Mario is and all of that, and kidnap Pauline in the original arcade game. Let's leave all that aside for a minute. Let's leave aside the fact that he knows he's a video game character. Part of the problem is Miyamoto has said that Donkey Kong is Donkey Kong, Mario is Mario, and they've been the same characters ever since the original 1981 Donkey Kong arcade game. So that's why a lot of people are losing their minds. Well, first off, Cranky Kong was created by Rare, and while Nintendo owns the rights to Cranky Kong now, it's entirely possible that it's entirely possible they've just ignored that. And that's all we're doing. That's it. We're just ignoring it. Forget it. Don't even try. But here's my theory on how this could possibly work if you absolutely need to. What if Cranky Kong, because of his advanced age, is not remembering things correctly? What if DK had told him about his various adventures and whatnot, and Cranky was just misunderstanding it and thinking he was talking about someone else? Granted, that doesn't make sense if Bananza is a prequel to Odyssey, which is a prequel to Odyssey. I get it. There's holes in it. There's holes in all of it because it's not supposed to fit together. It doesn't matter. There are holes in it. What if Cranky is assuming it's stuff he did when it's actually stories DK told him? Or is it just the ramblings of an old man? Old ape. That it's like, yep, sure, Grandpa, Yeah, I know, it was all orange groves here once.
Well, let's get you back to the home. Yes, I saw your new hip. It looks great. Why don't you tell me again about the time the Depression fought Abraham Lincoln naked in your front yard?
Pretty much, I think we're just attributing way too much authority to Cranky Kong in all of this. So, yeah, the only way I can think of it is that it might just be the ramblings of an old ape who isn't quite as sharp as everyone seems to think he is. It's entirely possible. Is this a stupid theory? Yes, but so are all the others. I'm not trying to yuck anyone's yum here. Just maybe tone it down a little bit and stop acting like it's the most goddamn important thing in the world and that Nintendo owes you an explanation. Let game theory do it. I'm sure they're working on it. I mean, the most recent episode at the time of this recording, Tom was saying he's working on an Ultimate Mario theory, and I can't wait to see what a shit show that's gonna be. Enjoy the game. Have fun with the theories. But maybe let's dial it back on how important the lore really is sometimes.
I like it! What they came here for! Dancing packs!